All right, I do have 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting of our Budget and Finance Committee, July meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Ms. Atwood notified me that she would be absent today. If you will, take a few minutes, look through your the minutes from the June 20th meeting. I was reading over these earlier today. I was part C on page 4. Talking about the wheel tax. I believe the wording there, according to admin of election, Steve Paxton, the wording would need to be passed by and submitted after November 6th for the March. Is that before or after November 6th? I thought that was before November 6th.
So it needs to be passed by November 6th, but submitted after November 6th.
Okay. That way it comes in after the, okay.
That way it wouldn't spur a special election.
Passed before, submitted after. All right, so we're all clear on that. That one had me a little bit confused. I won't lie to you. Passed before, so that gives us a little time still in the conversation. I want to make sure we got our time right. So those look correct then. I didn't see any other mistakes or any motion. Motion is second to approve. Any other discussion on that? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. The minutes are approved in final record. If you will, next up, you got your trustees cash balance. Page 5 of your agenda. Any discussion points you want there?
These in June 30th are the pretty actual. We still have some.
These are the numbers for your cash balances. They are not the numbers for your fund balance.
Right.
Looking at trustees cash balance there, so things look to be in good order. If nothing on that page, we'll move to page 6. Still like seeing those comparisons. See, looks as if expenses, and I know expenses are not final. There may be a few pending we discussed there, so they're pretty close though at this point. Revenues came in strong. And expenses there are lagging at a good place like we want. More revenue than expenses is always a good thing. As you're looking at revenues as well, don't forget the sales tax is a month behind, so that one wouldn't be up to date. I think Miss Amy said it actually comes in this week sometime. Should that last final number should be in for the year. Any key points on page 6? If not, moving and looking at your financial summaries. Of course, it does have your projected fund balance. Or fund balance along the way. Anything in the 101 we want to discuss in the side of revenues there?
How come we got more EVA this year? We had 10 budgeted, we got
We
32,751.
I believe that's always a line that we have under budgeted. We get about that amount every year.
Sales tax done was good this year.
remember that's not final, that's still a month behind. Mhm.
It'll even be better.
Revenues look pretty strong. I didn't see an area that looked Too far off.
What are listed under our other local revenues, 4498, it's a considerable thing. I mean, it's beyond all that stuff. Older than that, I don't know if that is.
So 44,990, that is community center rentals, park rentals, pool parties, police reports. It's a catch-all
That's
function.
what I'm doing. Still looking good, though. As long as you got something to catch.
So pool parties in there as well.
Mhm.
Anything else in the revenue side of the 101? That was a good thing. We're talking about positive sides and where's that extra money coming from now? Where's it going? If not, moving to expenditures. Any discussion points in expenditure? All right, if not, we'll move on into 111, urban services. On your revenue side.
Oh, there.
One question I'm going to ask her on the other one. Well, how do we stand on the liquid taxes now?
Well, delinquent taxes are really far exceeding collection sum. I think the last time I talked to the clerk investor, they maybe have 2 potential sales, which means you're collecting a lot of times.
And a lot of times we come in money
Right,
as price.
so I think there's only 2 parcels that are up for, which is excellent as far as I can
That's
say.
awfully good. That's better than good. It's fantastic. I knew I hadn't heard anything, but some better. It's really it is.
Anything in the revenue side, otherwise 111, not expenditures. Both look very strong. Revenues coming in 110%. So above your projection. Remember, when we say those things, is we just got to the budget year, we budgeted 92%. So that's always a good thing to get all. Always good expenditures are going out strong, 72%, should be at 100%. So that's not spending all of what's there. Moving to 116. Again, final numbers look really, I know they're not final, but very close to final. Shouldn't be a huge mistake at this point. 105% of revenues in, 74% roughly of expenditures.
You prefer the taxes, that's for sure.
Yes.
So that hit.
That's also, it's, yeah, it's been approved, so it's just, it's also in.
So that it's a wash.
Mhm.
I was just asking, did the expenditure side at 55,732, did that include the vehicles that were purchased? And were they also in the expenditure side of it already? So they're both there. Didn't, it kind of washed, it didn't make that look skewed is what I'm getting at. You remember we purchased a roll-off and I think roll-off dumpsters was purchased right there and a backhoe, I believe.
Oh, no, that's on this year's.
Never mind.
Yeah,
So what is this?
there is a truck on
Just the
here,
one truck.
just the one truck.
That's correct. They're in this year's budget. So it's there and washed, all's good.
Mhm.
Looking at the 118. You also have a separate sheet laying on your desk, on your table there. With a breakdown of 118's expenses. That breaks down all your expenditures in the 55, 130. Any discussion points? If not, we'll move on. 121, just pass through money. 122, again, drug county, pass through money. County drug fund. I know we talked in the last one, sheriff's told us that part of that reason for the revenues being so high is he had a sale. Remember that part? Those do kind of sometimes skew numbers. Any discussions there, 122? If not, 151 debt service. Yes, sir.
The 49,800 transfers in. What is that?
So the general fund contributes contributes 19,000 every month on the Q-SCAB interest, but also the schools pay in on the same thing. So it kind of, if we have to log it as a transfer then.
Okay, so this
School
is
roof?
still this June.
Yes,
It's missing the June payment.
it's missing the June interest payment.
When's that paid?
When I close out the books. Mhm. Something else in that number, I can't remember what it is.
Any other discussion on 151? I think Miss Amy's gonna check to make sure of the clarification on that as well. One 41, general purpose school. Budget went along pretty well there as well on the revenue side. Still lagging, in the same conversation there with sales tax, a month behind. All right. I would, you've seen your financial summaries and your cash balance or trustees cash balance. We want to make a motion to that we just put it on our books. We've seen through those, gone through them. I think it might be in order that we put that in motion. Making a motion that we approve those trustees balance and financial summaries balance for up through June.
I'll second.
Got a motion second. Any discussion past that? If not, all in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. It does pass favorably all votes. All right. We have you have also laying on the side of your sheet, you had a colored copy there of the American Rescue Plan funding and appropriations. Item C, just look over remaining balance there. 482,000. Any discussion there on the American Rescue Plan? There's a couple in there that could end up coming in a little less and come back to this fund as the way they were set up, but it seems pretty close. Fortunately, it was there for us to get through this year's budget with a lot of purchases that were needed to be made for the county. It's good to see large purchases that needed to be made in this way. They don't end up on our debt side of things. All right. We're keeping that statement in your mind and going forward. Might be a good number to let sit for a while. Always good to have a emergency fund. Next up, discussion here on the debt obligations reports. We kind of discussed through those pieces in the last month's meeting and have approved those pieces. I don't think there's anything new that's coming our way on those.
No, these are just the debt obligation reports that we have to submit to the comptroller once we have approved them. Comptroller has approved those, and so we are set. Both items have been funded by the Farmers and Merchants Bank out of Columbia, Tennessee.
They are funded and moving forward.
We in fact received both deposits last week. And the Bank of New York Mellon, who is our holder of the 2016 EESI and CJC bonds, have been paid. Final payment has been received.
So all those have been paid off, those bonds. It was more there, so we're back to one case. Pretty much.
We no longer have variable interest rates.
We'll see. At least we know what to do.
Emergencies servicing both loans now. Correct?
Yes, sir.
But to have locked in interest rates to move forward with, at least you can plan when they're lost. All right, I don't think there's really any other discussion we have on those at this point. We will move and discuss the item that as I put this on the agenda in June. I know this discussion came up maybe end of March, April, there with budget and all that going on, we kind of put it on the back burner. The conversation of the wheel tax has been pushed here and there along the way for a little while. There are some definite expenses facing the county, so I think it's something that over the next month or so, this committee really needs to delve into what how we want the language to look, what we want to present to a full body. And that's kind of the way I've asked it. Mr. Beller has written up a piece here that he presented back in, I think it was April, if I'm not mistaken, is when it was originally presented to us. You take it home, maybe looked at it over a couple times. Some conversations you might want to have, might not want to have. But we have until roughly a month or so here to get it ready before we could have to get it to a commission and get things to see which way they go. I don't know which way the body seems to go, but it seems like if it goes to the way of the public vote, then we need to have a really strong plan either way. We need to have a really strong plan, and our members need to be ready to discuss why and how to be behind those pieces if we're ready to put it. The only way something like that's going to get passed is if we're planning to be smart with the money and have a plan for where it's going. And I keep hearing in the public I've talked to lately about it. An end date seems to be very appealing. So it might be something we want to put in our conversation there. I know we've talked about the jail, which is a huge part of this fund, reasoning for the need of this fund. And it may be being even a 40-year note has been discussed. So, it may, either way, it needs a time and here's what it's paying for. Seems to be appealing to the those that I've talked to out in the public about it. Have you had any discussions around the conversation?
I've talked to a few people about it. I haven't talked to anyone that don't want it.
I've talked to very positive conversations about it. I certainly have.
The question in everybody's mind is how much we're asking for,
And where's it going exactly?
and where's it going?
I think that's the piece. I don't know that we're going to know all the finals of the jail project going forward between now and the time we need to have a number set. So it might be one of those things where it has to be set and then adjusted if it has to be adjusted. Those are conversations to have going forward. I believe we can adjust that in the body after the number. Somebody has spoke out of place.
The best recollection, if it's passed by this body and it's not taken, I have to do my homework on this, but if it's passed by this body and it is adjusted, it'll have to be adjusted in the same manner in which it was passed. In other words, if it's done by referendum, it's done by referendum. If it's done by this body, it's done by this body. And I'm 99.9% certain about that, because then if there's an attorney general's opinion on that issue. But now, what a lot of times happens is if you pass one, it doesn't preclude you from passing another. So maybe for a shorter term or less dollars.
Taxes are never a positive conversation most of the time, but there are some necessary conversations for this body as we look going forward. We've seen numbers put in front of us. I hope in the next month or so we can get a little bit more of a defined number of what we think it's going to cost us for X, a jail, property and all. Maybe something to get at least go off of would be really good for us, I think. And would that percentage get us to where we need to get to? It's difficult to make a decision when we don't have an exact number. That's always a difficult piece. Um, You know, I've stated here as we look at it along, I know there was a 40-40-20 that I think was originally presented. 40 towards a jail project, 40 towards, listen, in the future, you're building, your community's gonna have to have a school. That's without a doubt. You keep building up houses and things around it and not just that, they're old. There's a lot of aged out buildings. Maybe it can get by with some smart moves and one type of structure that could take the pressure off some others, because that elementary school seems to be busting at the seams. They're just large. Our middle school is continuing to grow every day. It seems like we're in every classroom, so they're growing. Our community is growing in those ways. It's just part of it. But I know in the past, there's been some discussion as well about the other 20, maybe being towards there's been some really good discussion about some satellite fire or EMS type stations throughout the county where it might be beneficial to put a few of those stations in different locations. I actually think there was a study, and I failed to do my homework on that piece. 2007, 2008 range, there was a study done on some satellite stations, and approximately 8 of them needed to be. We looked into this pretty heavy in 2019 prior to COVID. Didn't get any further. Approximately like 8 satellite stations would put most of the county within 5 miles of a station at that point in time. So there's probably some study there we could look into going forward to make sure that the majority of the county gets a benefit. They're paying for it. I think the wheel tax in the past, I think when people go by the high school, they can see where their dollar went. They can see it was spent, in a means that benefited the community. It always helps us in that piece. Any discussion points for anybody? I know we've talked, discussed.
Well, one time there was something in front of us, and we broke it down into several different parts. Some of it went here, some went there, some went somewhere else. I thought a lot about that. I don't know. Take it out of our hands. Whether it's a good idea or not. You're taking off debt service, then you can use it for debt service. You don't. You got to spread out everyone. You don't know how it'll be used. I kind of leaning more toward it going to debt service and be used the way commissions these folks have been used. There's pretty big percentage differences in there. from What I was really saying.
What was presented originally was, I think in the piece was 40%, 40%, and 20%. I think it's in your piece right here.
Well, was got it right here, 2040.
It was presented with 40 to the jail project. 20%, 40% to this, a school fund for debt service in the future. And 20% to I believe, let me go
That's
read it.
what he's got right here.
There we go.
And that 20 on that capital outlay reserves, when you're talking about making a fire station.
Things of that nature. I think those are strong moves for a county. There's been discussion for a couple of years that I've been on this committee that there needed to be west end of the county, east end of the county, things of that nature to help better serve those areas. There was also some, and I'd have to pull some of that information. There was also some tax bracket. I'm sorry, not tax, but insurance benefits to the homeowners that were in certain distance of those satellite stations. And anytime we can benefit our homeowners that are paying this tax, maybe it can be somewhat of a wash for them. That's a very easy selling point. I know it wouldn't be immediate, but it would be a piece that says, hey, you're going to get something for your dollar you're putting in. Even though the jail is something that's got to come our way, I don't know that many people see where they benefit necessarily from the jail. It's a necessary evil, I guess is what we're saying there. That's right.
So it might not be an easy job to start with, no matter how you go with it.
I won't disagree, but we know we are faced with a heavy price. At this point, I haven't heard anything of any grants or anything that lay our way for a jail, and we know we got a heavy price coming our way. If it's okay by the members, I have a member of the public would like to talk. I know he's a commissioner, but not of our committee.
I understand, and that's good, the satellite places, that would really help a lot of the people in the county for shorter taxes and all that stuff. We do not have any land or economic development in the county anymore, other than our county. Out here where the dump and all that's at, it's all used up. That would be nice if you, when you got the land for the jail, if you could buy a little extra to bring in the industry. Might help, you know, it's in the kind of in the city limits or kind of in the area would be something to look at in the future, you know. If you can afford it, you know. So that would be nice to have, but we don't. Out there it's all full, we don't have no place to put nobody, they won't come here.
Out at the convenience center area there of the industrial park area you're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Gotcha. Appreciate this input. And as I said, you know, it's not something that we've got to be ready to go on, but we need to be. My hope would be that this body could be pretty unified in where we want to send forward. We could get to a place of saying, hey, here's the numbers where we want to put them. Let's put a number on it and try to move it to our commission and see where it goes. I think that would be our best bet. It may change there as well, but I'd like to see it move from here that way sometime in the future. We've got a couple of months there. As we said, it needs to be passed before November 6th, submitted to Mr. Paxton if it's going to go on the March vote, if it's going to be put before people that way. I'm not either way with which way it needs to move. Commission can vote forward. We've had those things laid out. I don't know which way we want to try to move forward. With the commission, does it require any second majority, or is it just a majority?
Certain majority, 14 out of the 20, make the vote 20. 2/3.
And no matter what, if it's voted for there, it can go to, can be put by petition.
Even if the commission passes a certain amount, certain percent, the last gubernatorial election before, I believe it's 10%.
With that said, like I said, not something I wanted action necessarily on tonight or last month, as we said there in this case, just looking at the pieces. Are there any things you disagree with in the way it's written currently? Are there any things we want to adjust now? Is there anything we want to include, exclude, where that money would go? Mr. Ford, I get your point on just going to debt service. I understand what you're saying there. I think our people, it might be an easier sale if we have a plan for where it's going. And it's sort of stated.
Well, I'm looking at it that way. When all the jails right around the corner, that's coming. You don't know how soon the school's gonna come. It's hard to get somebody to vote on something. If 40% of it's going over in the escrow, may be laying there for several years. Maybe 2 years, maybe 5, who knows, I don't. I guess escrow accounts are good, but what we're gonna need immediately is some relief on the jail. If you don't get some relief on that, then you're gonna bury property owners.
I won't disagree with you, but we're sitting here today because we haven't pre-planned for those things. And it's been coming at us for years, and that's why my thoughts sort of aligned to what was was presented, the more I looked at it.
Something that's way out there in the future.
I don't know how way out
I
that
don't
far.
know how far away that is, but. County's always accepted its responsibility regardless. I don't think there'll be any change, and I ain't seen no change in the last 45, 50 years.
Of that, I can't disagree with you.
It's like I can see benefits you at all, you might use it as to draw some votes. And I'm not sure how many votes it would draw. There's no way of knowing.
It at least has a means for where it's going, is all the thoughts on that. I think this body needs to really, whatever we send through, it needs to be pretty clear on where it's going. I think that's the best option we have to get people to
We
be.
had a number not long ago on how many tags we had in counties. Anybody remember that figure? Seemed like it was 2,000-3,000.
We're looking at roughly 92,000 per $10 is what we're looking at. Revenue per $10 fee cost for wheel tax. It would generate. Yes, sir.
We had 9,200 something vehicles.
That would generate 92,000 is what we're saying per $10 cost of fee or tax. I don't think that's changed much,
No, I don't think it is.
but it looks like at this point, and like I said, talk to some folks around, see where we are on this case, because I want it to be something that is, if we're going to move on it, we need to be willing to go and know where we're going, because you're not going to get people.
Serious about it. Now, it's gonna creep up on us, and we're still gonna be sitting here twiddling our thumbs with nothing. I tried to get it done 2 years ago.
Well, it is in front of us as a conversation, and it will be on our next agenda, I promise you, and by that one, it's going to be getting a little bit closer to time to get moving, so really think about where you are, ask and talk to your constituents around and see where people are on this piece. We're getting the discussion out at least that it's
I've
happening.
talked to at least 6, 10, maybe 6 to 10 people. I hadn't had anybody against it.
I had one phone call that was made.
But
That
you
was,
pull out some and find it. Especially if we don't know, on property, we go find it. Just, if it comes to vote, better hope it don't go out and vote against it.
I think after the discussion on with that individual, I think they understood that there was a reason. We were thinking about the why. It wasn't just a tax for a tax. It was a tax because there's a need. And that's why it seems to have us an opportunity. All right, we will move past that one. Didn't want any action on it tonight. But it's something we really need to be you see the deadline we got from the commission before November has got to be passed. So that means it had to be passed in October. I know we're in July, but August, and September will come by pretty quick. So let's be thinking about that and which way we want to get together. So think about those numbers, talk about where you are, and let's come in here with a little bit more of a plan in August is what I would ask us to do. All right, with that said, our next agenda piece is any other. We don't have other right now. Miss Amy and I both failed to get purchasing together. And I know this is quarterly meeting would have been for purchasing, and we will make sure that's on the August piece. It just slipped by. Part of it, busy and missed out. I'll take the blame. So at that point, any public comment? If not, motion made to adjourn. Second made, not debatable. All those in favor? We'll go with it.